President Biden condemns Hamas attacks on Israel, labeling them sheer evil and affirming support for Israel. He disclosed 14 American casualties and hostages held. Biden likened Hamas' assault to ISIS brutality and pledged assistance to Israel. The death toll in Gaza rises, and international leaders join in condemning Hamas. The U.S. provides military aid and intelligence, emphasizing the urgency of security. The president calls for bipartisan action, prioritizing global security. The White House symbolically lit in Israeli flag colors. The U.S. Department of Agriculture found traces of highly pathogenic bird flu in commercial poultry flocks in South Dakota and Utah, raising concerns about potential widespread outbreaks. The detections are the first cases in U.S. commercial flocks since April, and they prompt fears of further infections due to the beginning of bird migration. Over 58.97 million birds in the country have been affected by the virus across various flocks, impacting both commercial and backyard poultry owners. Turkish President Erdogan criticizes the U.S. for sending warships to the eastern Mediterranean to support Israel after Hamas attack. He questions the U.S. aircraft carrier's presence near Israel, warning of potential massacres. Erdogan emphasizes Turkey's support for Palestinian independence and urges to prevent a broader escalation in the conflict. The U.S. aims to deter and support Israel, but hasn't indicated direct involvement. Erdogan's remarks risk straining Turkey's improving relations with Israel. He discusses conflict containment with Russia's Putin. U.S.-Turkey tensions rose after the U.S. shot down a Turkish drone. European Commissioner Thierry Breton cautions Elon Musk over the proliferation of illegal content and misinformation on X, formerly Twitter, during the Israel-Hamas conflict. Breton's letter highlights concerns and calls for a response within 24 hours. Failure to comply with European regulations may result in fines up to 6% of the company's annual revenue. The Digital Services Act necessitates platforms to monitor and remove illegal content, emphasizing transparency and enforcement of policies. Breton emphasizes the need for X to liaise with law enforcement and promptly respond to requests. European Union Foreign Policy Chief Josep Borrell affirmed Israel's right to self-defense but expressed concern that some of its decisions regarding Gaza could violate international law. Borrell's remarks come in response to Israel's statement that it would restrict basic supplies to Gaza following attacks by Hamas. He emphasized that actions such as cutting water, electricity, and food to civilians are against international law and humanitarian principles. Israel grapples with responsibility for what's being likened to Israel's 9/11, reflecting on a catastrophic intelligence failure. The blame is partly on the intelligence services, perceived as all-powerful, but lacking vital information sources within Hamas. Their inability to detect extensive preparations for the attack is evident. A deeper problem lies in an outdated strategic analysis initiated by PM Netanyahu, where the presence of a strong Hamas was seen as strategically beneficial. This political-level strategy led to lulling the nation into a false sense of security, perpetuating Israeli-Palestinian tensions. Israeli warplanes strike Gaza as preparations for a potential ground offensive against Hamas intensify. President Biden denounces Hamas' assault on Israel, labeling it sheer evil and cautioning its Iranian supporters. The death toll rises in both Gaza and Israel as the violence escalates. Hamas threatens to execute captives based on Gaza home strikes. Israel contemplates safe passage for Gaza civilians. The conflict extends to Israel's northern border, raising concerns of a broader war. Sirens signal rocket threats in Israeli communities near Gaza. Labour's annual conference in Liverpool projects the party as a stable alternative to the Conservatives in the upcoming UK general election. Leader Keir Starmer criticizes Conservative government and emphasizes national renewal. The atmosphere is energetic, reflecting Labour's confidence as the potential next ruling party. Labour seeks to distance from its radical past, focusing on mainstream appeal. The party benefits from conservative controversies, positioning itself favorably. Policy details remain limited, aiming to maintain stability and project competence. Saudi Arabia is seeking security assurances, help in developing a civilian nuclear program, and fewer restrictions on U.S. arms sales as conditions for normalizing relations with Israel. This ambitious request presents an opportunity for President Biden to reshape Israel's ties with a powerful Arab state, and further, the Trump-era Abraham Accords. However, Obstacles include potential nuclear proliferation concerns and resistance in Congress, given Saudi Arabia's previous behavior and actions in the Yemen war. A normalization deal could be a significant geopolitical realignment in the Middle East, albeit amidst ongoing conflicts and political challenges. The White House, along with the Federal Trade Commission, FTC, and Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, CFPB, will unveil initiatives to combat hidden surcharges in goods and services. The FTC's rule proposal aims to make businesses transparent about fees, potentially saving consumers over $10 billion in a decade. The CFPB targets big banks, emphasizing consumers' rights to access accurate and free account information without excessive fees. These efforts align with the administration's goal of enhancing competition, beginning with President Biden's executive order in 2022.